Hello everyone and welcome to Cinderful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the Grey. Today we're going to be doing a getting started with video focusing on the brand new rules for another City of Sigmar coming from the Broken Realms Kragnos book, and the rules are for the City of Excelsis, the City of Secrets, the City of Prophecy. So, this is really cool. Excelsis has long been a city that's had a ton of narrative background built around it in many Black Library publications and quite a few popular Black Library publications like the aforementioned book, Cities of Secrets, along with other things starting in it as well, like the Spear of Shadows 8 Lamentations novel as well, some really popular Black Library novels. But what we're here to chat today is we're here to chat about the City of Sigmar and its rules for Excelsis that are coming out on Broken Realms Kragnos. So this is a City of Sigmar where we get all the different rules that are associated with being a City of Sigmar. This is not like Harkoron where we're having to give something up in order to gain something. We're going to get all those generic rules, so the General's Adjutant, Honored Retinue, Loyal Shields, the Storm Host, the Empowered Endless Spells, etc. We're also going to be the first city to come from the Realm of Beasts, and what this gives us is the artifact from the Realm of Beasts, which is not a bad one in all honesty compared to some of the other realm artifacts. You can reroll charge rolls on the bearer that you give it to, so for some monstrous heroes, this is a pretty cool artifact. It saves you command points. Really nice. You, as mentioned, can find these rules inside Broken Realms Kragnos, and they're pretty interesting. The first ability we get is the Gift of Prophecy. So this is once per phase. You can pick a friendly unit to shoot or fight and say that the attack from that unit has been prophesized. You roll a dice. On a 1, they are -1 to hit, as the prophecy's not sort of right. But on a 2 to 6, you add 1 to the hit rolls for the phase. Note this says phase as well, so this means you could totally do something where you've got potential to pile in the hero phase or shoot in the hero phase. You've then got the shooting phase, you've then got the combat phase as well, so you can use this in every phase, which is really cool. I'm not quite sure on how we get combat phase attacks into Cities of Sigmar, but still being able to use it twice is really nice. So this is sort of like risk reward. There is the chance that you're going to roll a 1. What I find this particular rule on is because Cities of Sigmar do have a decent access to +1 to hit, especially with what we're going to talk about in the video, what I think works within this city pretty well. This works well for those independent units around your armies, not near heroes, not near characters that can't get those normal bonuses, and being able to take the chance to get some extra damage out is really cool. It can allow these units to act independently. The ability to get +1 to hit on a unit without having to have a hero nearby just allows them to move about and do their own thing without having to have a babysitter. We then got some really cool defensive bonuses in the command ability, which is Riposte. Effectively, what this does is you pick an Excelsis unit hole within 12 inch of an Excelsis hero. The unmodified save roll for an attack that targets that unit in the combat phase, if it's a 6, the attacking unit suffers 1 mortal wound. So it's mortal wound splashback from fighting us in combat as a command ability. This is nice. Mortal wounds are always nice to have. It is combat, so this means we're going to be looking at some combat units, but this is really sort of the basics of Excelsis. It's got some pretty decent core rules here that I think can work really well. So this is what I've been looking at to get started. This might seem a little bit weird, but I actually think the units here are really cool within Excelsis. So my recommendation is going and grabbing yourself a Nomad Prince. Now I know his command ability is +1 to hit for Wanderers units, and this, potentially with the new edition only allowing you to get +1 to hit once, might come into, I guess, a little bit of conflict with the ability of the prophecies. However, what he does is he unlocks Eternal Guard and Sister Thorn of Battle Lines, so he's a pretty cool character in my mind for that. The reason is, Eternal Guard have a really good save on them. They can potentially get up to a 3-up save, you can put reroll 1s on them with command abilities or Mystic Shield from a magical source, and they're just pretty decent all round. They're a good solid defensive unit. This, though, combines really well with the Sisters of the Thorn. The Sisters of the Thorn have their own spell, Shield of Thorns, which they can cast on one of your units, which does the exact same thing as Riposte. This means for a spell and a command point, we potentially can be kicking back 2 mortal wounds for every 6 rolled. Not to mention, if we throw other things in there, maybe another command point if we've potentially got them, which in the new edition we may have access to more command points, you can potentially be throwing back just a lot of mortal wounds your opponent just from making save rolls, which is really nice. So I think this is a great place to start for Excelsis. You can probably chop and change. There's a few other pieces that maybe work in this just as well, but I think the Nomad Prince is really cool. I mean, if you're not going to have Eternal Guard as your only battle line and stuff like that, and you definitely can look into other heroes, but I reckon for a starting point, this is a really good place to be. And so where can we go to after we've got our initial starting force? So I've got a few different options here on screen that I want to chat about, because it's not necessarily with cities that it needs to be these particular units, but each one of these is sort of a theme of a unit that we can bring to the table to help push and better our own little Excelsis army. So for starters, I've got Iron Drakes here on screen, but this can really be any of the more elite shooting options. So Sister of the Watch if you're wanting to keep to that Wanderer's theme, or even things like your Pistoliers or your Outriders, or even some of your War Machines as well, which are all really good. The reason for this is they can work independently. As mentioned, that command ability for +1 to hit potentially with the risk of potentially rolling a 1 and getting -1 to hit is really nice on these more elite shooting units, not having to have them babysat by a character. It's really nice on your artillery as well, not having to have them babysat by a character, just being able to potentially get a little bit better of a hit roll through absolutely no resources spent. So I do think elite shooting units definitely have a place within this particular City of Sigmar. Next up, we're going to look into some Stormcast, because of course we have the access to the Stormkeep rule, so we can take 1 in 4 of our units as a Stormcast unit, and Sequitors and Liberators are the two units I really look to. Definitely in 2,000 points, if you can fit the two Stormcast units, I think Sequitors plus a Lord Arcanum is a really cool combination, and this is because they have innate ability to reroll their saves. What this means is we're not having to spend command point resources to get the reroll saves onto this unit to potentially do some more 6s back. They of course can't work with the Sister of the Thorn because they're not a Wanderer's unit, but just the ability to have a potential to do more with their rerollable saves and more mortal wound splashback is really nice, I think, on these particular Stormcast units. Also, giving them +1 to hit, Sequitors can hit surprisingly hard, as can Liberators as well, so being able to give them +1 to hit on these Stormcast units without having to bring something like a Lord Celestin in is really nice. Battle Mages or Wizards in general are really cool. The ability to give Mystic Shield out and across your army is really important. I do think you at least want one Wizard in the force just for Mystic Shield to be able to use. It means you're not having to spend a command point on reroll saves, and it's just going to be a free one if you can get the spell off. So any wizard, whether it's a sorceress, whether it's a battle mage, whether it's bringing in a Stormcast wizard like a Knight Arcanum or any of the Lord cast wizards, it's all worthwhile having a check out of some of the wizards to potentially get a Mystic Shield into your army. A lot of the spells for this particular city are very offensive based, so they're going to be what they are, but being able to bring some utility in with these wizards is nice, and the ability to save you some command points. Flagellants and really cheap chaff units is the other thing I want to talk about. This is potentially a tactic you can look into of where you buy a cheap throwaway unit, go in, spend a command point on them, and hope to roll lots of dice. You can do this against some of your opponent's really deadly units where they technically do have to roll every model that gets in range. So unit of Flagellant spreads out, touches as much of the unit as possible, gets them to fight, because if you're in range, you have to fight. And then what this does is your opponent then rolls, probably kills your unit, but you do get to roll the dice back and try and put some damage out onto your opponent's unit as well. So you've got this potential for some cool throwaway stuff here. But now that we've talked a little bit about all of this, let's go try and put this all into practice and look at how we can build a force for Excelsis. So this is what we've put together for a little sample army list to try and get the best out of Excelsis. For starters, as mentioned, we're going to be taking Nomad Prince. He's going to be our general, and he's going to have the command trait in the right place. Now, what this is going to allow us to do is it's going to allow us to redeploy units. So it's going to allow us to redeploy our center of our force after all the units from both armies have been set up. So with this particular thing, we can make sure we're getting the units we want in the particular places they need to be. It is D3 units, so it's potentially not going to be everything you want, but the main thing you're going to want to put here is you're going to want to really put those Eternal Guard or potentially things like your Iron Drakes move out to get into places you want. It's just going to allow you to rearrange and sort of make it so you can counteract whatever your opponent is doing, or potentially put in some contingencies. We're then going to have a Battle Mage who's going to be our General's Adjutant, and then going to be from the realm Gyran. This gives him the Shield of Thorn spell, which is just a more mortal wound splashback, which is really cool. It's just sort of doubling, tripling down even on the potential for us to do mortal wounds to our opponent if they come into combat with us. The artifact he's going to have Griff Feather Charm. It's hopefully going to make both of our heroes pretty survivable. And then he's going to have the spell Cower. Now, Cower is an interesting spell as it has a casting value of 6 and is successfully cast. You pick one enemy monster within 12 inch of the caster and you roll 2d6. If the roll is higher than the monster's bravery, that monster cannot make a charge move. So it can stop some monsters charging, leave opponents isolated, not let them get as many units in, and potentially keep your units alive while you're dealing mortal wounds back while you're doing 6s. For Battle Line, we've got 20 Eternal Guard. They're going to be our Honoured Retinue because they're really the only unit here that's going to fit the bill. And then 5 Sister of the Thorn. This is going to be our big center. It's going to sit there, it's going to hold, and it's going to take the brunt of our opponent's damage while hopefully spilling some back. It should be a nice little trick you can try and play. Other units, we're going to have 10 Iron Drakes who are just going to go around shooting what they can and just be able to move independently around the board. Though, you know, not very much movement, they're pretty slow, so you do have other options here as well with this. Potentially Shadow Warriors or Sisters of the Thorn. 5 Sequitors are going to be an independent unit to go off and hold other objectives. The fact that they get basic rerolls is going to be really nice, though they are going to need heroes near them to do the Mortal Wound Splashback. And then lastly, we're going to have a unit of 10 Flagellants, which you could replace with some other things, though we've got Sequitors in here, so the Flagellants can't be swapped out for things like Aether Wings, though there's some other units that are cheap, chaffy, throwaway things like maybe Blackheart Corsairs, and stuff like that. But what do you think of the free city of Excelsis? Love to hear your thoughts in the comments below and how you're going to think of running them in the future. Well, thank you all for watching. We hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please don't forget to go like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Also, if you'd like to come chat more with me and other members of our little community here at Cinderful Gaming, you can do so by following the link in the description of the video to our Discord server. And while you're at it on YouTube, why not go check out my featured channel section where there's a bunch of other fantastic Warhammer Age of Sigmar content creators putting out a bunch of fantastic content from everything battle reports, painting videos, lore videos, tactical videos, and more besides that as well. Lastly, we'd like to give a shout out to everyone who helps support the channel on Patreon and YouTube members. Thank you to our Patreons Christian Weir, James Soren, Chaos Spawn, AJC, Kenny Lyle, Alder and Shot First, James Crowder, Andrew Bowen, Nathan Fee, Tim Newman, The Rising Ape, Cure Dynamic, Argu, and Anthony B. And thank you to our YouTube members, Green Roots Gaming, Fire Titan, Steve T, The Real Zeop, and Chris Wallace. Thank you all for helping support the channel like you do. It means the absolute world to us. And if you'd like to help support the channel like they do, you can do so by following the link in the description to either Patreon or YouTube members. Once again, everyone, thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Stay safe, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the Grey. Ciao for now.